Well, hello guys. Welcome back to the channel where it's all about racing. My apologies if you watched my last video about the McLaren 720S. I was in the middle of a cold and you probably heard me sniffling a little bit. That's largely over now, so we can do that without any theatrics on this one. Anyhow, today we're going to take a look at a Spark 143 scale model of Max Verstappen's RB16B, the car in which he won his first championship, the 2021 one. And this is, I think, a tribute to that with this oversized packaging that you see here. And you've, as you can see, the box clearly, discusses Max Verstappen, Drivers' World Championship. There's actually two pieces you can use in the back there. You can virtually flip one over the other, so you can change up the look of it if you like. This is, as I mentioned, highly oversized. You can see that the car just takes a small portion of it. I don't know why. The ends are sealed, but they tell the story of Max Verstappen and his victory. You can see the car here on the left side. On the right has the Abbu Dabi track as it was in 2021. The back of it is just typical of what you see with these things, Red Bull Racing. And of course the bottom of it, and I gotta flip this thing around, it's a rather large one. The typical licensing information that you come to expect from Spark and Minimax. Now, that's what the box looks like without the autograph card on it. And as I mentioned, you have this piece, which you can change out. The flip side of it looks like so. Max versus Lewis, winner takes all. I'm sure everybody remembers that race and how controversial it was. It was the biggie. Anyhow, so that is the flip side of the card that you have for display purposes. And here's a look at the package itself. You can see you've got the car there, you've got this base, you've also got the, I guess you could call it the leaderboard there, which I'm going to take out in just a moment. I've got to pull the seals off this thing. Okay, guys, and there's what it looks like with the two pit boards that come with it. World Champion 2021 Max, and of course, he won that race, so you've got the #1 Best Waters Technology board there. A little bit about this car. Obviously, the RB16B was designed and constructed by Red Bull to compete in the 2021 Formula World 1 Championship. Red Bull designed the chassis, and Honda Racing Corporation the RA620H 1.6-liter direct injection V6 turbocharged engine capable of producing about 1,040 horsepower. The electric motor was Honda, as well as the lithium-ion battery. Now, really interesting is I found some information on design cues for this car, which sometimes you don't get. And I guess we'll take a look at the front of the car. As the nose was very, very narrow with two additional inlets at the front, which you can see clearly right there. Zoom in on it. The redesigned barge board area and smaller side pod inlets. Now, guys, I got to be honest with you. I'm somewhat new to Formula One, and I'm learning as I go. I'm not really sure what the difference between the barge board and the floor are, and I've reached out to some other YouTubers and asked for any information on that. I have not heard back from them, but if anybody knows that, please let me know. The car featured a large cape element below the nose, which you can clearly see, and parts of the rear suspension were raised, and the rear wing featured two supporting pillars, which you have right back there, compared to the RB15's one. Now, the team redesigned the front multi-link suspension, as Christian Horner noted that it should improve performance in low-speed corners. And finally, Red Bull changed the shape of the gearbox casing, allowing it to rearrange the rear suspension and significantly increase rear downforce. Now, as for 2021, Max Verstappen had 10 wins, 18 podiums, Perez 1 win and 5 podiums, and of course, Max would win the World Championship. Now, guys, this is like my third model of this particular car. I've got two 118 scale models of this exact car. This is my first 143 scale model of it. And as I had mentioned, it's 143 scale. It comes on this really huge, oversized board. I'm going to turn this around a little bit, and you can take a look at the front of it. It says Red Bull Racing Honda RB16B, winner Abu Dabi GP 2021 F1 Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen. And of course, you have that information on the side of it as well. And there's a cool look at the car. And as you would expect with Spark, also notice there's a big old foam piece here right under the front wing. I believe most of my cars come with that. I suspect that is to prevent the damage from the front wing, which I have had happen with quite a few cars, despite even having that under it. Now, this model, as I mentioned, was kind of a special one. Excuse me. Still, I've got remnants of that cold here. It comes on this oversized box, and I believe this is a Stone model exclusive. They're a very huge dealer out of Texas, and quite frankly, this is one of 3 oversized championship packages that I have. The other are Lewis Hamilton cars, which I have not reviewed yet or even opened. In fact, this is the first time opening this one. But as you can see, it's a really spectacularly beautiful model. This being the final race of the season, obviously the design is the last one of the 2021 season, so you're seeing it exactly as the car was in Abu Dhabi in 2021, which I'm sure if I took a close look at the other models that I have, like the Monaco Grand Prix, it might be a little bit different. Now there's a cool look at the front of it, and I love that massive wing that you have, Red Bull on it, and we talked about the nose quite a bit, which you can see there. Got the Honda logo. The carbon fiber trim on the suspension, where as well these, I'm just going to call these things winglets because I do not know what the heck they really are. So let's just call them winglets. As you can see, they're very, very nicely done. You've got the red sidewalls on it, and I believe these are going to be the hard tires, if I am correct. You can clearly see the pitot tube and the aerials on it. I'm going to zoom this thing around a little bit now. You can see them a little bit better. I really like the pitot tube. It's kind of complex. It's got the one aerial underneath it, as well as the main aerial that you have right before you get to the front cabin. And there's a cool look at Max and his helmet. His helmets are always really interesting. They're just so cool, so complex. The floor, the barge board, whatever the heck that is, really, really neat. What I always find interesting too, and I'd love to know what they call this winglet that you sometimes see on the right or the left side of the engine air intake pod. I've yet to understand what that is called and what it really does, why they have it sometimes on the right side or the left. I don't know if it's maybe for downforce. I really have absolutely no idea. If anybody knows that and can answer that question, I'd love to hear it too. As we turn this around a little bit more, try to take a good look at the cabin here, because Spark always does a really good job with those. Now, sometimes I hear that the steering wheels are generic and they're not specific to the particular make of the car. I don't really care. I think they look pretty cool. I'm not a big nut about the steering wheel. They're kind of hard to see in much detail in 143 scale anyway, but nevertheless, they've done a really, really good job with this. As we go around to the back of the car, we'll take a look at the rear. Because I just love looking at the rear end of an F1 car. The massively wide tires I just think are intimidating looking. The huge exhaust, the suspension work, which, you know, it is neat on every single car that you look at. The rear wing, which are always kind of just fascinating. I really, really like, and Spark does a really, really good job with these cars. I got to be honest with you guys, Mini Champs makes a really nice F1 car too. I know I'm a bit of a Spark snob. I just think overall with presentation as far as the packaging and the bases, I really prefer Spark. Now, you know, guys, I've ragged on Mini Chase because I really hate their checkered board bases. I think they really detract from the car. I prefer, you know, just a monocolor base. It doesn't matter what color it is. Naturally, a black base doesn't look really good with a black car, but I like the car to stand out, to be distinctive, and Mini Champs likes that. And it's a cardboard base over plastic, and you can see the seams of it. I just think it looks awful. I really prefer the wooden bases, or even a plastic base that Spark does would be fine. But they did a really, really nice job with this car. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. Everything you would expect from Spark, you get. Well, folks, that wraps it up. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you stuck around towards the end, I really appreciate it. This has been a very long video, that of 10 minutes, but I felt it deserved it. Take care.